Hello and welcome. Today we are going back in time. Way back. Before smartphones. Before the internet. And way before anyone cared about being on a diet. Today we are drawing the most famous animal that ever walked the earth. The big boss. The king of the giant lizards. The Tyrannosaurus Rex. Or T-Rex. As this magnificent beast comes together on the page, let's talk about him. The T-Rex is the star of every dinosaur movie. When you think of a dinosaur, you think of this guy. Sure, there were other dinosaurs. There were the giant long necks that just stood around eating leaves all day, like giant vacuum cleaners. There were the ones with spikes on their tails and brains the size of a walnut. But we are focusing on the king. You know, one of the craziest things about the T-Rex is that huge head. It was basically a giant bear trap on a neck. His jaws were so strong they could bite through solid bone. Imagine biting into a car and just eating the bumper. That is T-Rex power. And think about those teeth. If you ever try drawing them yourself, do not draw normal, flat human teeth. That would be weird. T-Rex teeth were huge. Some of them were the size of a large banana. Imagine having a mouth full of sharp bananas. No wonder he was always so angry. You cannot brush those. Dentists did not exist 65 million years ago. He probably had terrible breath. Now we have to talk about my absolute favorite thing about the T-Rex. The arms. What a tragedy. Nature gave this guy a mouth that could destroy a house, and then gave him the arms of a small baby. I want you to really think about the daily struggles of the T-Rex. He could not clap. He could not give a high five. If he had an itch on his nose, it was just going to stay itchy for the rest of his life. And if a T-Rex fell over, he could not use his arms to get back up. He just had to basically lie there on his side and hope nobody was looking. I meant to do this, he would say to the other dinosaurs. I'm just taking a nap. Then there's the rest of the body and the legs. In the old movies, they used to show the T-Rex standing straight up, like a person in a Godzilla suit, dragging his tail on the ground. But scientists say that it's wrong. The T-Rex leaned forward, like a giant seesaw. His big, heavy tail in the back balanced out his big, heavy head in the front. And let's be honest about his shape. The T-Rex was not skinny. He was a chunky boy. He weighed about 8 to 9 tons. That is the same as an African elephant, plus a couple of cars. So it is completely scientifically accurate to draw him a little thick. he ate whatever he wanted. He was basically at the top of the food chain, I guess. What a boss. And here is another funny thing scientists are still arguing about. Did the T-Rex have feathers? For a long time, we thought they were just covered in green or brown scales, like a giant crocodile. But now we know a lot of his cousins had feathers. So maybe the T-Rex had some too. Imagine a giant, scary monster, but he has a nice coat of fluffy feathers on his back. Like a giant, angry chicken. I went with my rendition of scales, like simplified, for this drawing. But if you are making your own art at home, feel free to give your T-Rex a feather boa. That's totally up to you. It is your art, do what makes you happy. And let me know in the comments how yours turned out. Okay, let's think about one more funny detail. When you look at a T-Rex, what sound do you hear in your head? You probably hear that giant, loud roar from the movies, right? Well, I hate to ruin the magic for you, but scientists think the T-Rex did not roar like a lion. And because of how their throats were made, they probably made deep, low sounds with their mouths closed. Basically, they cooed like a pigeon. Now just imagine this big, scary animal stepping out of the bushes, showing you his banana teeth. And then he just goes, cuckoo. It takes away a little bit of the magic, doesn't it? Yeah. So the king is almost ready. Let's give him a few final touch-ups, some shading here and there, as you can see. Mr. Rex was big. He was chunky. He had arms that were completely useless. And he probably sounded like a giant pigeon. But for millions of years, he ruled the world. He did not care what the other dinosaurs thought of him. And then a giant rock fell from space and ruined everyone's weekend. But the T-Rex is not totally gone. If you look out your window and see a chicken walking around, that is his great-great-great-great-grandchild. So here is to you, Mr. T-Rex. You may be a chicken now, but in our hearts, you will always, always be a king. I hope you enjoyed drawing with me today. See you next time.